Oh, this is the bit with the countdown.
Hello and welcome to Old World Tech Fridays.
Greetings
Ryan,
and salutations. I am better. I have, I think, beaten COVID for the third time. So feeling way better than I was earlier in the week. Had an impromptu week off, which is never good. I get very cabin feverish. What about yourself?
Not too bad. It's been a long week, but other than that, not too bad. I think, so have you picked up any new weird side effects during this one? It seems like every time COVID goes through, like there's some new side effect or something.
No, nothing this time. If anything, I'll say that it was, my symptoms were way reduced than the previous two times. So,
that's good.
At least in my case, the shots and the boosters all seem to mean I was less sick. So
awesome.
Yay, science.
So, Trina is recovering from solder injuries.
Yes, you'll notice that our good friend Trina is not with us this evening. She has actually joined a queer hackerspace, I think is
I believe that's what she said. Hackerspace,
or queer makerspace, something along those lines. It's a group in Ontario or Toronto where she lives, where they get together every once a month, I think, on Friday nights, and they do some, engineering, hacking, computery stuff, programming. Cool. So Trina has joined that group, and we look forward to hearing about it on Dave's stream, I guess, on Sunday. So
she's being assimilated.
She is being assimilated. She is learning to solder, which we give her kudos for. Congratulations on learning to solder. She did some pretty good work the other night, taking apart that DVD player.
Awesome.
Always good to show that you can show an old dog new tricks.
Indeed.
Right. So who do we have in the chat there, Frodo?
Let's see. We've got Thomas Armstrong. Hello, Thomas. We've got Jesus Christ. Hey, how are you?
Jesus is here. Hey, Jesus.
Curtis Boyle. Hello, Curtis. Will of KMac Vintage. Hello, Will.
Hello, Will.
Garth Beagle. Hello, Garth.
Hey, Garth.
And I believe that's it. At least that's all that's in the chat. There's Eric Wrangle. Hey, Eric
has made it. Cool. So it's been a bit of a short week for me in the sense that I haven't really done a whole hell of a lot because I was in bed for at least 2 days. I didn't really do a whole much pile around the shop. I have plans to gut this shop this weekend. So hopefully, fingers crossed, next week's show will be back in my retro room.
Oh, awesome. We haven't seen that since pre-holidays.
So that's the plan.
Yeah, because I believe the room got commandeered for Christmas. That's right.
Christmas stuff, for gifts and whatnot.
Christmas threw up in that room.
It did, and that has thankfully been cleared out. But now, unfortunately, I've been also using it to store auxiliary retro tech. So I've had to purge a bunch of that to be able to get enough room to get in there to actually start doing some remodeling. So
now you're going to have to swap because you're going to have to bring some stuff out of that room.
Correct.
And then you have the new desk that you want to set up in that room.
Right. Yeah. So I have to first I have to clear out enough space to be able to bring the desk in, to measure it, to bring it back out to the garage, to cut it, to bring it back into the and assemble it.
It sounds like a process.
It's going to be a bit of a process. It's going to be a day's worth of work. But
it'll be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Once you move from the up to the down or the down to the up?
From the up to the down.
Okay, so you're the down. That room's really nice with that paint color, and then everything got put away really nicely. So I thought it looked nice.
Yeah, and they got lots of shelving. So some of the stuff too is a lot of the things I had on the shelf were it was a necessity to poke it there.
Sure.
Now I can take the time to say, okay, well, I don't really need 4, compact Macs next to each
other.
Which is foolish. So I'll take some of those, put those in storage, and then put some other cool stuff out.
Well, I was going to say, you have plenty enough stuff at least that you can always periodically rotate things through.
Sure. And now that I have access to the wonderful thing that is a bamboo printer, I'm going to build some shelving for a bunch of the Commodore stuff that I have. You can get these lovely little floating brackets that you can build. So the Commodore sits on it and you don't even see it. So it just looks like the Commodore is kind of just on your wall.
Now you'll have to ask somebody. Of course, you know a lot about 3D printing as well, but I know certain filaments are not good for stuff like that, and other ones are.
Yeah, yeah. You want to make sure that whatever you use there is a good sturdy filament. So I've actually ordered a spool of bamboo carbon fiber
Oh,
reinforced
awesome.
filament. I used it actually. We used it to build the mouse trap cars that we're
Mousetrap
doing.
cars.
Yeah, and I could not break the filament.
Oh, no kidding.
So we were building sections of the bodies of the cars
Yeah,
out of the
that's
green
awesome.
out of this green filament, this stuff.
Yep.
And if I try really hard, I can break this. It's not hard. The carbon reinforced stuff, no, I could bend it almost completely into a U, and it wouldn't break. So
maybe that's what the sub needed to do. They needed the 3D.
they need a
ball.
3D print. Yeah, they need a more 3D print. Yeah,
That's it. That
yeah.
makes sense.
See, the problem is they didn't have a bamboo X1 carbon.
That's true. That's true.
Right. There's the problem. But
Exactly
anyway, we digress. But yeah, so I've got a few ideas for some stuff on that, as well as updates on my lighting, as well as get
Awesome.
my Yeti microphone set up in different
You need to
areas.
get your unit number sign.
Yeah,
to be able to program.
That I'm going to actually have to. I think what I'm going to do is I have enough of them. I'm going to send the boards to somebody and have them reverse engineer for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I don't have the technical skills to do
and
that.
I know the company was less than forthcoming with.
Well, the company's been sold like 4 or 5 times to other companies since this thing was invented. So even if the software does exist, which they said it really doesn't, there's no support. There's no real, like, it doesn't even exist. It's kind of like.
Plus, I'm sure they'd rather sell you a new sign.
Right.
Oh, that doesn't work anymore.
And their new signs cost like $25,000.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I'm not too what's the word?
Too invested in it?
Yeah, and I'm not too interested. Well, I paid $25 for them, so
I mean they're cool to look at. Even not programmed, they still display stuff, which is
neat. So I can just and if I can get them to talk to something,
sure,
by all means, I'll figure something out to make it say scrolling things, around the bottom.
Yeah, I think that would be neat.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. I went to Costco today and bought some very nice storage bins, which I'm very excited about. I've like I said earlier in the chat, I've reached peak adulthood when you get excited about storage bins.
Yes.
Yeah, I've reached the peak of if 13-year-old Ryan could see 38 or 38-year-old Ryan now being excited about storage bins, I think he'd be pretty unimpressed.
Things change. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But anyway. So yeah. Other than that, in some automotive news, it looks like I'm trying to figure out what vehicle I need to fix first.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like my a couple of my diesels are going to be a little bit longer on the repair list. Okay. I do actually have to get a transmission for the Passat. So that's going to be a bit of a quagmire because they're a very specific transmission specific to that particular model and year of Passat.
That might be a little hard to find.
Funnily enough, one of my very good friends, his brother has exactly the same car currently sat in his parents at his parents' house, just rotting into the ground. So I've put my feelers out to see if that's available.
What are you doing with that?
To sort of be scrapped and take the transmission out.
That would be awesome.
But I've been hankering for a truck lately.
Hey, Chris. Chris joined us.
Oh, awesome. I've been hankering for a truck. So I have a 1990 Ford Ranger that I have done nothing with.
Oh, there you go.
So I think I'm going to become a truck guy.
And that's definitely easy to find parts for.
Surprisingly, yes. And they're stupidly inexpensive.
Yes.
So
now I'm guessing that was a 4.0?
It's 4.0, yes, straight 6 or inline 6.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, I think they use the same one. Yep.
And it's a 5-speed manual transmission, 4-wheel drive.
I think they use the same ones in the Bronco. Some of the Broncos had 5.0s as well.
The full-size Broncos had 5.0s, but the Bronco 2s, the smaller Broncos, they all had the same. They were basically just a Ranger with an SUV body.
Yep.
All right.
I think the Aerostar vans also used the 4.0, and some of the Explorers of that time used 4.0.
Yeah, they kept that engine ran for a fairly long time, and then
transmission was crap. Well, the manual one was good.
The manual,
automatic one was garbage.
Yeah,
I had a Ford Explorer, and I changed the transmission of that thing at least 3 times. I got to the point where I could do it quickly.
The Ford Exploder, good times.
Yes,
just like Jurassic Park. No expense spared.
Yes,
Those Ford
exactly.
Explorers, some expenses were spared.
Yes, no kidding. Yeah, because I changed that thing so many times that I actually cut the lip off the firewall so I can get the bell housing from the transmission through.
Yeah, just
easier.
like drop it. Yeah, you're like one of the Beetle guys who can drop
Yes,
an engine in like 20 minutes.
that one I could do fast. Yeah, what a pain in the ass that vehicle was. Everything else worked great. Transmission was a piece of garbage.
Yeah, we won't talk about the. I did the starter and alternator on the Touareg, and it took me
Oh my gosh,
10 weeks.
Well, that's like the who is it that's got the North Star engines? The Cadillacs.
Yeah.
The way the transmission or the starter's mounted, it's tight against the firewall in the back of the motor.
You got to drop the
yeah,
engine.
you got to drop the engine
or drop the subframe to get the
yes, completely dumb the way that.
Or I mean, you could be, you know, we're talking about engineers hate mechanics. Toyota, the starter is inside the bell housing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you actually got to drop the transmission.
Horrible. Yes.
Now, in fairness, it very rarely failed, so there's that.
Now I bought an '88 T-Tops Mustang.
Yeah.
And I restored it. It had 434 ring gear, the rear end on that.
Yep.
And it had a 5.0.
Yeah.
And I needed a manual transmission because the person that had it before me converted it to automatic, and I did not want it automatic. So I had a hard time finding one at first.
Yeah.
But then I had a buddy that said,
T5 Tremec. Like
you can pull a Chevy transmission out and change the pilot bearing for the throw out on the transmission, and totally fine. Just change the bell housing.
There you go.
So well, I know what I ended up doing.
Like the transmission that's in the Passat that I have to replace, it's a ZF.
Oh my god, I haven't heard Chevy Lumina in a long time.
Oh god,
I had a buddy in school that had a Lumina.
They were the last vestiges of boat cars.
Yes,
but they were front wheel drive. It was very odd time.
It was an odd.
There were no V8s, and they were front wheel drive. It was a very strange. You're like, it feels so like driving a cloud, but it's front wheel drive.
Well, I remember my grandfather for years. He had these 2 Lincoln Continentals, ginormous cars.
Yeah,
and he would not sell them for anything.
No,
and
the best part about it, they were probably like 8.1 liter V8s. 127 horsepower.
Finally, somebody talked him into selling them for derby cars.
Oh yeah,
that's what this guy wanted for a derby.
The best thing about those is derby cars. It takes 30 minutes to know you can hit.
Yes,
because you hit something and then you're waiting for the call to say, "Oh, we've hit something."
It's such a large vehicle. I'm like, well, not only that, but like back then they made cars with room in the engine compartment.
Yeah, you can.
Everything's so tight together, but like you know, if you're hit that and that, you could be hit that several times before it crumples enough to even hit the fan. You know,
that's great. Anyway, welcome to Old World
Car
Fridays.
Car Friday, yeah.
So basically, that's what I've been. When you spend 2 days in bed with COVID, you're making plans because what else do you got? But that being said, I've watched that much Forensic Files.
So
I can figure out most murders now.
Talking about a Cutlass Supreme. So I drove a Cutlass Supreme when I worked. So I taught 1 year at a high school, computers, and it was a rich school district. Everybody had super nice cars, even the kids that went there. And I had this old piece of shit Cutlass that I drove, and I would get there early and park at the far end of the parking lot so people didn't know whose vehicle it was because they would never see me walk.
I thought you were going to say that they got it towed because they thought it was different.
No, it was like, I had the shittiest car out of anybody there, even the kids.
That's awesome. Well, that's like I go. It's funny, all the nice cars at the school I work at, and I'll show up in my diesel swapped Eurovan, and the kids, and maybe because it sounds like a tractor. But the kids are like, "Oh, that's really cool, Mr. Hayward."
all I can picture is John Candy and Uncle Buck pulling up, and the car shuts off, and 10 seconds later, boom, it backfires.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, see, the funny thing is, last going off with the diesel van swapped Eurovan, my pump timing was off on my injection pump, so it was always really hard to start. So I always had to give it a huff of the mystery sauce. And so the kids would always see me like pop every time I would go to leave. I'd pop the hood, I'd pull the air intake out, I'd spray something in it, I'd get in with the hood left up,
spray a little ether,
and a bit of the Cosby sauce, and I would start it, and then it would make a big because will be running
Well, yeah,
off
it's going to be
ether.
burning off the ether. Yeah.
Right? First, so it sounded like it was going to run away, and a huge puff of black smoke come out the back of it. And then I
Have
just
you ever
get
seen a
out.
runaway diesel? Oh my gosh.
Oh,
People
they're
don't
lots
put
of
too
fun.
much either. Oh my gosh.
Oh, they're fun. Well, just watching a runaway diesel in general is fun.
Oh, I can remember. So my stepdad had a Firebird. Talking about priming the carb, he had a Firebird, and this thing sat in the garage forever, but it ran and everything. Couldn't get it started because the gas was old. It was sitting in there.
Yeah, varnish.
So ended up pulling the top off the air cleaner and everything.
Yeah.
Spraying some starting fluid in there, and big puff of fire. It burnt the lining of the top of the hood off because the little puff of smoke.
We call that the spider condo.
Yes,
the fabric underneath the hood.
Yep,
because that's all there's ever in there. It's either rats, mice,
full
or spiders.
Of spiders. Yes.
Yeah. So I always haul those off. First thing I haul off a car.
Just reminded me that when he said priming the carb.
Priming the carb. Oh yeah, I always got to give her the extra tickle of the gas pedal before you go to start her. Right.
Well, my brother and I. So my grandfather at one point in time had a diesel Chevette, and they're little tiny cars. Cars. He drove this thing till the frame rotted. So finally, my brother and I got the idea that we were going to make it into a dune buggy on the farm there.
Okay.
So it had holes through the floorboard. So what we ended up doing was taking a come along around the rear end to hold it in place because it kept sliding out because the frame was rotted. And we put it up through the floorboards to the dash. We took the glove compartment door off and wrapped the come along there to hold the rear end on. And it was a little manual. It was a manual transmission. But that thing would scoot. It was such a little car, but it was diesel.
My cousins live on a farm, or they had a farm in Ontario, and they had an Acura. I want to say it's an Acura TL, like 1990, like one of the first. Whenever the first Acuras came out, it was one of the first ones. Anyway, it was the farm car. They bought it. Yep. This was the early 2000s, so the thing was 10, 12 years old at this point, and in Ontario, that means it's rotted out. So they literally cut the roof off it. And they were driving around in what was originally like a luxury sedan with the roof cut off and just bombing over all the farm dumps and dirt.
Well, that's essentially what we did with this Chevette. We ended up cutting the top off. We just took a Sawzall and just cut the top off the thing. Yeah, we just drove it down. We didn't care.
If you like hackery like this, I'm going to promote a YouTuber here. Pole Barn Garage.
Pole Barn Garage.
Yeah, Dalton is the guy's name. Him and his son DJ Dalton Jr.
Yep.
They do father-son shenanigans together with no regard for safety whatsoever. There is like, you know how they say safety third?
This sounds like a lot of kids I grew up with.
Safety 90. Yeah, like if the 80s had a YouTube channel,
oh my gosh,
this would be it. But anyway, fantastic channel. Definitely recommend. He just went over 200,000 subscribers. So if you're not already subscribed to Pole Barn Garage and you want to watch a southern hillbilly type fellow yell at his car all the time and cut it in half with a Sawzall, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Cousin Eddie working on the RV.
Essentially, yes. With a little bit of red-green. Bit of red-green kind of sensibilities tucked in there.
Oh
anyway,
okay,
we digress. Let's go talk about some technology, maybe. Seeing this is a technology channel.
Yes. So this day in tech history, VisiCalc demoed at West Coast Computer Fair, May 11th, 1979. At the West Coast Computer Fair, Harvard MBA candidate Daniel Bricklin and programmer Robert Frankston gave one of the first private demonstrations of VisiCalc, the original spreadsheet software. It would be later publicly demoed for the first time at the National Computer Conference in June of that year. The first released for the Apple II, VisiCalc made a business machine of the personal computer. VisiCalc was a huge success, selling more than 100,000 copies in the first year. VisiCalc also spurred sales of the Apple II, as people would buy the Apple II just to run VisiCalc. Overall, the spreadsheet validated the usefulness of the home computer. It was likely a major factor for IBM accelerating their entry to the PC market. Now, I feel like I had seen a documentary about the guys with VisiCalc, and they decided not to license their software at one point in time. and that led for other companies to kind of come in and
I think
take over, like Microsoft Excel and
they
things.
didn't. It's not they didn't license it. They didn't patent
That's
the
it.
idea of a spreadsheet.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So they lost out on what could have potentially been a crap ton of revenue, for those guys, which sucks because VisiCalc was pretty cool.
Right. But then you on the back tick, would we have Excel today? Would we have Lotus 123? Would we have, Open Office?
Yeah.
Sometimes the future is open, and you want to make sure that you don't, lock yourself in. We'll say. I actually remember. I think, if I'm not mistaken, VisiCalc ran on CP/M, correct?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, because I was going to say my Osborne 1, I'm pretty sure came with a copy.
Well, they made VisiCalc for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, I believe so. Let's see. The next one I've got the IBM computer and artificial intelligence. Deep Blue defeats reigning chess champion and one of the greatest chess players of all time. May 11th, 1997. So the computer and AI at the time defeated an actual chess champion. Let's see.
Blue?
Deep Blue was capable of calculating 200 million moves per second and won 2 matches out of 6 versus the guys 1 victory and 3 draws.
Interesting.
Let's see. The Z3, May 12th, 1941, German engineer Konrad Zuse unveils the Z3, now generally recognized as the first fully functional programmable computer because Germany was fighting World War II. Not much was known about the Z3 until after the war. It was an electromechanical computer, so it was not only the world's first fully electronic computer, although plans were made to replace the mechanical relays with fully electronic switches. However, funding was denied by the German government because the Z3 was not considered important to the war effort. The Z3 was destroyed by Allied bombing in 1943, but a fully functioning replica was built in 1961 and is on display in the Duchess Museum in Munich. Because the Z3 was the Z3 was the first programmable, fully automatic computer. Some people consider Konrad Zuse the inventor of the modern computer.
But he's German, so he did not win the war, so he did not get the credit.
That's right. History is written by the victors.
Indeed.
Intro to Ethernet. May 13th, 1980, Digital Equipment Corporation, or DEC, Intel, and Xerox jointly announced Ethernet network specifications. Ethernet is the predominant networking standard of today's business and home networks. Money for Nothing. May 13th, 1985, the British rock band Dire Straits released their 5th album, Brothers in Arms, which will become the first CD to sell over 1 million copies. It was the most successful album released on compact disc for over 2 decades. I guess Money for Nothing was more than a song title. Let's see. May 13th, 1991, System 7 was released. The System 7 operating system for Macintosh was released, the second major upgrade to the Mac OS since 1984. One of the major features included System 7 as built-in cooperative multitasking. System 7 Ultra introduces the concept of aliases, which will later be copied as shortcuts in the Microsoft Windows 95. System 7 was the first Mac OS that I became personally familiar with and as foundation of future Mac OS versions until the release of OS X almost exactly 10 years later. That's who wrote the article.
Yeah.
Let's see. May 14th, 1973, the U.S. launches Skylab 1, its first manned space station, and it's the last launch of the Saturn V rocket and the largest payload ever launched into space at the time. Skylab will fall back into Earth's atmosphere July of 1979. So it was up there for 6 years. Let's see. May 15th, 2001, Apple retail stores revealed. Apple Computer announces plans to operate a chain of retail stores, opening 25 retail stores in the U.S. by the end of the year. Steve Jobs holds a commemorative press event at Apple's first store in the second level of Tyson Corner Center to make the announcement. The store, along with a second location in Washington, D.C., will open on Saturday, May 19th. At the time, Apple's plan was generally Let's see. Derided by technology experts as doomed to fail. On this, their anniversary date, Apple's retail stores are now considered one of the catalysts to Apple's tremendous growth. Let's see. May 16th, 1946, the first demonstration of hi-fi tape technology in U.S.
Hi-fi tape.
Hi-
Tell me more.
Let's see. Jack Mullen, an electrical engineer and U.S. Army Signal Corps veteran in World War II, gives the first demonstration of a high-fidelity tape recording in the United States as an Institute of Radio Engineers meeting in San Francisco. He was able to demonstrate that a recorded jazz band sounded virtually identical to a live one during this demo, impressing many engineers in attendance. That's pretty cool. And our last one, May 16th, 1960, physicist Theodore Merriman creates the first laser light using synthetic ruby crystal device. He was not the first to develop the theories behind the laser, nor the first to apply for patents, but he was the first one to create an operating laser device. The light produced by this device was not a true beam as we think of most lasers today, but rather a pulse. Other researchers would create the first laser beam soon after.
Now, do they have sharks with freaking laser beams?
Well, they did after that point, for sure.
I don't ask for a whole lot. I just want some sharks with some freaking laser beams.
Gut Bomb, hello.
Hey, Gut Bomb. Cool. So that's this week in tech history.
It is.
So,
Garth also said that 15 years ago today, Minecraft version 0.0.11a was released.
Well, there you go. And the gentleman who, I can't ever remember his name, the gentleman who made Minecraft, he's now a billionaire after selling out to Microsoft.
I'm sure. Very popular game.
It is, and we use it for educational purposes, which is kind of cool. I like when games are educational. So, Notch. Yeah, that's the guy's name.
So, I got a few things this week.
Yes, what did you get in the mail this week? What's in the mailbag?
I think I shared the Commodore phone last time, right?
You mean this Commodore phone?
Yes, that very Commodore phone. Operators are standing by.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hi.
All I can think of is the intro of Jurassic Park. Hello, John. Hello, John. Where they're on that little carousel.
Yeah.
So, I got this guy in the mail. The Dragon 32.
Now, is that the Trogdor edition or the Burninator edition?
Let's see.
Sorry, it's a Homestar Runner reference.
No,
Ooh, the
but
keyboard
this
sounds
is a Coco reproduction. Yeah, clone.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure the history of it. I think it was actually officially licensed or it was allowed.
Yeah. Now there's actually a documentary on YouTube about Dragon.
Yeah.
About the corporation and what happened to it.
Yeah, it says, as Gutbaum says, it's a Coco with an accent.
Yes, they made toys. Dragon, the company that produced this, actually made toys. It came with two.
What appear to be
game
are
pads.
They joysticks? They look like the controllers for. They look like the controllers for a winch.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It came with a UK power brick, but of course I can use a normal one.
Yes. Curtis Boyle says both the Coco and the Dragon are based on a Motorola reference design, so they're
yes. They were made on reference designs. Yeah. If you watch the documentary, it's actually really cool. It came with quite a few games with this. The Ring of Darkness, Caterpillar Attack with a K, The King, Mind Out, The Official Frogger, licensed by Sega for the Dragon 32. Boots C15 computer cassette.
nice.
Cuthbert in the Mines. Dragon Trek. Dragon Selection 1. Typing Tutor. It has the original Dragon discs and stuff with it.
You said Dragon Shrek, and all I can think of is you watch the Canadian Computer.
Yeah.
So he has a Patreon guy called S Shrek or Shrek. That's what I. So
Um,
Curtis says the Dragon came out just after the Speccy did, with a really good keyboard and a built-in parallel port. The Dragon 64
kidding.
added a hardware serial port.
The King was originally called Donkey King, but then got in legal trouble. Both the original and Tom Mix / Coco version and the Dragon version. That's pretty awesome.
Cool.
So that'll be a cool game to play. Adding to the Acorn collection, I have a BBC Master that showed up this week.
So at what point do you plant those acorns and start getting some trees? Because you seem to be collecting a fair number of them.
At some point.
Yeah.
It came with a controller for the BBC Master, as well as a pile of software and manuals, as well as an actual 40 and 80 track floppy drive for the BBC.
Nice.
And this will work on the Micro or the Master both.
Awesome.
Yeah. So those work well. So those are pretty
So
neat.
now, are those ones you're going to ship out to Gutbomb to have him convert them to 110?
These ones are fine. I'm not really worried about these ones. It was the more newer computers. Like he's got the Acorn 7000, the 7000 Plus that he's recapping now.
Okay, cool.
And then I have a Risk PC that's got to be recapped as well. That's another Acorn one.
Thomas Armstrong asks, PAL video?
I'm assuming so, yes, because these all came from the UK.
Yeah, but you have a couple of PVMs and a couple of flat panels that are PAL compatible. Yep. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I've got 4 of the LCDs, and I've got the big PVM.
And they're all PAL compatible.
They work for both. Yep, absolutely.
There you go. Do you have anything with a SCART connector?
Tons of stuff, yes.
Yeah.
I got tons of SCART stuff. But that's what I bought mostly for all of these. I bought some cables from Retro Computers UK, I think is what it is.
Yep.
I bought a ton of different SCART cables. So basically, the Amigas, the BBCs, the Spectrums that I've got, like the ZX and stuff, I bought cables from that Retro Cables UK that are SCART. So that's what I have on all these monitors is SCART connectors.
Nice.
So that I can connect them. And then it feeds back to the video capture on here. So at some point I'll have some video of them on the that I can stream right through.
Giddy up.
Yep.
So the only thing I had that I did this week, last week I showed this, but I'm going to show it again. I finished printing my
that came out nice. Keyboard. I like that.
So
I like the green.
This is what are you talking about? There are no green keys.
No, the bottom.
Oh, the bottom. Thank you. I was going to say all the keys are brown. There are only 4 lights.
And the sky is gray.
Yes. Anyway, I had an old Commodore 64 that had a little bit of an accident, which I'm sure some of you remember.
Yeah, it was in pieces.
Had a little bit of an accident. So what ended up happening was I needed a keyboard for my SX64 because, of course, mine didn't come with that. And I found a German website on GeoCities, which I actually archived because I don't trust GeoCities to exist for very much longer, that showed you how to take the wire from a Commodore, standard Commodore keyboard, and convert it to the required DB25 to put it into the SX64.
So you'll be able to use that keyboard there
with the SX64. Yeah. And
awesome.
So I only had to reprint. So I reprinted one stem because it broke, and I reprinted one key because it got lost.
That's
but
awesome,
I also ordered this week on Amazon the appropriate springs. So I actually have a bag of Commodore springs coming. They were $6 US for 20 Commodore springs. So that's fine. So I'm very excited to get this working, and I'm going to get a 3D printed Commodore SX64 badge to go in this little cutout, which I'll print later this week, or early next week, I should say.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then the other thing that I printed, because I didn't have one, was this awesome, I really like the design of this, case for my floppy email.
Oh, that looks great. That came out nice.
Yeah, I got to say, the bamboo is, I just
it is really cool. Once I started actually using it out here, it works really well. The quality is phenomenal.
I don't think I'll ever go to another printing company.
Yeah,
I mean, I might, but for the foreseeable future, it'll be buying. I might not buy another X1. I might buy one of the A's or the A1 or the P1. The
Trina approves.
Trina's here. Hello, Trina. So yeah, that's what I did. I also printed out a bunch of these last week, which I don't think I showed. These are Motherboard I/O shield replacements.
Those are fly
So,
swatters
yeah, they're little fly swatters. No, but the
for
neat thing about
large flies.
very large flies.
That are
But if you
narrow.
have a motherboard that doesn't have a I/O shield,
That's an awesome idea. Plus, it gives you good ventilation.
here. So if you have a motherboard that doesn't have an I/O shield, say it didn't come with it,
Yeah.
this one is sort of universal, and then you kind of just cut out the little
that's a
bits
great
around
idea.
the port that you need, and then you get a nice tight fit. And obviously, I printed it in green because of the color I had, but for production, you probably want to print it in black or silver.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, very cool. I'm thoroughly enjoying the new.
The new
3D printer. Yeah. Other than that, this week I've got to ship out a pile of stuff. I have a bunch of stuff to send to Javier. I have a bunch of stuff. Got a bunch of stuff to send to Trina. I've got a few things to send to Garth. I believe I'm forgetting somebody. I got to send something down to Justin, which of course is a Trident video card.
I got to mail out a keyboard for a Plus.
Yeah.
And an analog board to Dave. He wants to rebuild one.
Okay.
Then I've got some parts for him, and then I've got to send some stuff to Javier, and then I've got a box, the very back with a BBC micro that's going to Joe.
Nice.
Back there in the back.
And who are you forgetting?
Oh, I have a bunch of stuff that's got to go to you. Yeah, I have.
I don't care.
A truckload of stuff. Actually, that's what you need to do. You need
See,
to get one of these vans working,
and I'll come down,
fill the entire thing
with stuff
and
at your
drive
house.
it back. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No,
So if you see to the one side of me, this side of me, the case that's off right there.
Yep.
I got the Coco 3 on there because I was getting this odd video thing, a big ginormous green block.
Yep.
So after talking to Curtis about it, and Sloopy had helped me with a little bit as well, I talked to him. I have 3 out of the 4 RAM chips are bad. I tested them. I finally pulled everything apart.
Well, you know what Meatloaf says.
What's that?
3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Amen.
Sorry.
But 3 out of the 4 are bad. Like if I put them in, it goes to the green block. What's funny is if I try them one at a time, 3 of them, like I said, go straight to that green screen. Right. And the one by itself gives me a little bit of garbled text. So like I don't have enough RAM with one chip. Right. To make it go, I have to have at least 2.
So now is it available RAM? Like is it?
Oh yeah, super. Yeah, it's available everywhere. But what I'm going to do is
buy a bag of it.
Curtis sent me a link for I believe it's Cloud9 that has a 2 meg RAM upgrade.
Okay.
That you can put in. So yes, so I'm jacking it up. Yep, there's Curtis.
So now do you
need 2 meg?
Do you need to have good functioning old RAM and it piggybacks on top of it?
No.
Or is it just
you pull the RAM out completely and it just plops right in there.
Oh, perfect.
So it solves 2 problems. I don't need to buy the RAM chips. I just get this upgrade.
2 birds stoned in the bush at once.
Exactly.
Yeah,
gotcha. Exactly.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
So that's a part waiting for parts.
Deadly. One of the cool finds. Actually, I did have something from last week I didn't show off. I got a big collection of cards off of a local retro guy who was just giving them away, and a lot of Adaptec SCSI cards for PC. So after watching Sean, I watched Sean and Action Retro's video from last week, he built a Next Step operating or Next Step PC. So it's PC running the Next Step operating system.
There were quite a few of those actually for industrial applications I saw.
Yeah, so he built it, but it requires this very specific Adaptec SCSI card, and it turns out that the 4 of the SCSI cards I have are the exact model you need. So I think I'm going to build a Next Step, probably like a Pentium 2.
Do you know what card it is? I'll have to look.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Or I'll go figure it out. But one of the cool cards that came with it, which I'm really excited to get working, and I've never actually had one. Ooh. Is a Creative Labs video blaster.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it's not a video capture card in the sense that it doesn't capture live video. It's for capturing screen grabs,
screenshots. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were like doing manuals, you were making manuals for something, or you
documenting
something, or you were, you just wanted to pull still video or still picture files from.
There you go, Garth. Video overlay.
Or video overlay, yeah. Anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. They don't come up a lot. I haven't seen very many of them on eBay or whatever. So I don't know what I'm going to put this in. I don't know if I can make my own like weird video toaster, like a
Worth a shot, like Amiga.
PC based video toaster.
Yeah.
But I figured it's cool to have. If worse, it'll go in a shadow box with all the other creative.
I think it's pretty neat though.
Cards that I've collected.
I've not seen one of those in person.
Yeah, I actually didn't know what it was when I first looked at it. I was like, what is this? And then I Googled it because it has, which is really weird, it has an Intel. And if you look up that Intel that's an Intel video chip.
It's a video GPU.
Yeah. But Intel only made one video card before they made, like, the new generation of Intel video cards is their, like, second attempt at dedicated video cards. They only ever made one standalone video card from this time frame, and it has that chip on it. Which is kind of cool. Yeah. Which actually apparently they're very sought after because they're terrible cards. Because they never work for anything, apparently. I think actually Tech Amber may have done a video on the Intel cards, or maybe it was LGR. I can't remember. But anyway, a very interesting time when
cool,
Intel attempted to step out for the first time into the video realm. Cool. So yeah, I have just one other thing to talk about tonight, and that should give us it's just our usual what's the word?
Allotment of time.
Yeah, it's the where is it?
Yes, it's an I. Garth said an i740, and I believe yes, it was.
Yeah, i740. Yeah.
Yep.
So this week in tech news, I guess, not in tech history, I'm just going to do some rapid fire, cool little stories I found this week.
Awesome.
I'm just going to split screen here so I can read through them real quick. Apple's new iPad Pro unveiled with the new M4 processor. Going to be interesting to see the final. It's almost like watching a Pokemon become its final form. It's like we knew Apple was moving towards a unified operating system where the iOS and Mac OS were going to be one and the same, and I think this is the final. This is the final form. This is when this happens. It's been slowly moving towards that for years, but this is when it happens. It's going to be this new iPad
where the road meets the road.
Yeah. One Bit Fever Dream says your place is becoming awesomer every week.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there.
And what about my
saltwater fish tank?
What about my pigsty?
I do have a saltwater fish tank back there.
Oh yes, that's exciting.
That's
anyway.
new.
Amazon is going to have a new strategy for doing ads, which apparently is receiving some backlash. Be interesting to see. I know that a lot of streaming services are now looking at adding advertisement to their paid services.
Yes.
Netflix is currently doing it with the lower tier subscription.
Shrine of Chaos. I love that.
Yeah. Welcome to the Shrine of Chaos. Thank you. What else we got here? That's not really interesting. ChatGPT launched its new ChatGPT small o, which is which improves its ability in text, visual, and audio processing. I watched a couple of demos of this. It's kind of like Google's thing where it can make videos and it can do pictures from text and
that's neat.
Text from pictures. Nothing really mind-blowing. They're just catching up with everybody else, basically. Samsung unveils its new 114-inch micro LED television. Now, I know, Frank, you're going to want to go out and buy one of these right now.
I got 3 on pre-order.
Yeah, they're $130,000 US.
Yep.
But here's the nice thing. It comes with a free 85-inch OLED.
Oh.
So you buy one TV, and you get a smaller TV with less features included.
See, mine came with a free 85-inch Globetrotter that comes and puts it up.
I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, Nissan was offering you buy a Titan truck and they'd give you a micro for free.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, same idea.
That's pretty funny, though.
Some speculation happening. It looks like Broadcom might be buying Intel, or at least buying a portion of Intel's business. I'm assuming it's not going to acquire the entire company, because that would be just... I feel like Intel is way larger than Broadcom, but I'm assuming they look like they're going to be possibly purchasing some of their divisions.
So on similar terms, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Arby's, the restaurant company, bought out all of Subway.
Interesting. So now I can have shitty sandwiches from the same place.
Yes. So, but interesting thing is, like, went and got Subway. What day was that? Tuesday. They no longer have Swiss cheese. Apparently, that was one of the very first things that Arby's nixed.
Yep. They did
in
that
their quest to make a shittier sandwich.
They did that a couple of months ago here in Canada.
Yeah. Well, apparently they did it here too. And then they did go with the freshly sliced meats at all the Subways now. They don't have the prepackaged meats.
Okay. Well, that's not bad.
At the Subways. So, yeah, I get that. But they're cutting other things, and then they made up all this new menu board of all these sandwiches with names now.
Okay.
Instead of the normal,
cut combo.
Hey, I want turkey, I want roast beef, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, who remembers MapQuest?
Oh, yeah. Used to MapQuest all the time.
Right,
hey, can you print me those MapQuest directions?
Right. What's it called this week? Did a fantastic little retrospect. TechSpot did
I'll have to look at that.
Little retrospect. I'll put a link in the article to the
funny.
little retrospect on.
I can remember all the time. Hey, can you print me those MapQuest directions?
Yeah.
Back before GPS was on everything.
Yeah, and even Google Maps was less than.
Yeah.
It was there, but it wasn't. That was more of a looking at stuff from space as opposed to getting directions to stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty funny though.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really cool little retrospective. I like those type of things. Yep. Mini Forums unleashed a new PC this week. It runs Windows 11. It packs an AMD Ryzen 9 processor, a 7940 HS, and 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM into a device the size of an iPhone. So
that's crazy.
I don't know how that doesn't melt itself.
How do they cool it? Yeah,
I don't know.
That's my first question. Is
1,
how do they cool it? 2, how do they power it?
Right. Well, the HS, if memory serves, the 7940 HS is specific low power consumption.
Sure.
I think it's like a 60 watt or a 45 watt. PC.
It's different the AMD versus like ARM, for example. ARM, they've always been low power. So it's just odd seeing something AMD that's that low power that it wouldn't put out heat.
And maybe it does. I mean, it's quite possible you must. There you go. you must operate it in a bin of liquid. Exactly. Another note: EA Games. EA is looking at considering adding real-time ads to its AAA games. They've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, and it's been sort of hearsay. But I
believe Eric. Yes, that is correct. Size-wise, it's similar to the 2E little portable one.
That Javier was demonstrating.
Yep. I believe so.
But yeah, this brings some interesting discussion into you bought a game and now you're going to be inundated with advertisements in the game, and not just static ad. Like we've had previously static ads. So if you were playing Forza or any of the racing games, you were at any of the racetracks, or you're playing any of the hockey games and you're in a rink, you could see ads on the boards. You could see ads. But this is the whole idea of this is that it will be changing ads, that they'll be able to add in ads to the.
I picture like Futurama when you're looking through and there's billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
Changing. Yeah.
Or like an example, like I just think of it's not an EA game, but you're playing Grand Theft Auto 6 whenever that comes out. And all the billboards change constantly to real world products, right?
That would be funny.
And I mean, EA has a history of doing in-game ads, so I mean, it seems like something they would do. But this brings it to the next sort of point is what happens to that when the game goes offline or the game ages out? Does that functionality break the game if it's not there?
That's actually a good point.
Because I feel like EA, in an effort to make sure that nobody circumvents their advertising, are going to put things in place to make sure the advertising is seen.
Or when it's offline, maybe it would display static images that are saved as assets.
Or cached versions of this.
Sure.
But that brings to my next next thing. A couple of weeks ago, for any of our longtime viewers, you remember we mentioned the petitions going around to the different international governments about saving and helping to preserve video games after the fact.
Oh, yes, yes.
So the Canadian petition is calling on the government to mandate protection for video games at the end of their life cycles. The petition has garnered right now only 3,000 signatures, but I feel like that's going to grow. And calls for companies to leave games fully functional and remove any mandatory online requirements after the support ends for the game, thus ensuring that it's able to be played for years to come.
I wonder if that would apply to things like World of Warcraft or other online-only type
See,
things.
that's the thing. World of Warcraft technically hasn't finished. If WoW is done,
sure.
But right now, EA or Blizzard will tell you, you still got to pay for, because there have always been offline clones of WoW where people have hacked their own game servers. And
I won't say I've used one.
I won't say I used an autoplayer for years either.
I hosted my own here for a while.
Right. At the end of the day, if it's not making money for the client, for the company anymore, it should just be after a certain time it enters public domain a little bit quicker, and or there is a function that allows them to give the code to archive.org or somehow hand off the
where someone else can host
where someone can archive it and save it and keep it for in perpetuity. I'm hoping. I know the EU just had a similar thing go to the House. They needed 100,000 signatures. I believe they got it. So they actually debated on whether or not the government would push a mandate for this. I
think that'd be good.
Other than that, what else do we have? The FDA has recalled a faulty ISO app, specifically for X2 insulin pumps. So anybody using an X2 insulin pump and an Apple app, apparently the app version 2.7 is causing problems, leading to pump battery depletion. So the pumps are actually the batteries are dying in the pumps, and people aren't getting their insulin.
Oh, that's
so the recall affects over 85,000 devices in the U.S. and user advised to update to version 2.7.1 or later, if possible.
So Apple took the feature out of the iPhones that was degrading battery performance and transferred it to your insulin pump.
To your insulin pump.
You'll get it one way or another.
Yes, we'll get you.
Oh my gosh.
And then finally, Proton Mail. I don't know if anybody here has ever used Proton Mail.
Yep, absolutely.
The whole purpose of Proton Mail was that it was supposed to be an alternative to Gmail and not to be spying on you. However, Proton Mail got a bit of egg in their face this week when they were found that they provided user information to Swiss authorities, which led to them arresting a French climate activist. The company removed the "we don't keep your IP log" statements in its privacy policy following the incident. So,
not surprised at all.
The do no evil, obviously, it's not policy anymore.
Well, that's the same as DuckDuckGo or any of that kind of stuff. It's all pretty much the same at this point, it seems. A lot of them collect some
information. Well, it's interesting. I know that LTT had a discussion where they were thinking about doing their own VPN, and they had the same conversation. They were like, from a legal perspective, our VPN, we wouldn't want to keep any logs, but then the backside of that is that you're enabling bad actors.
Yes.
Right? You're protecting and enabling bad actors, and do you want that on your conscience?
Well, not only that, but like you as a company could be liable because you knew that was going to attract those specific individuals. Just like there was a cell phone provider in Canada several years back that did the same thing. They provided cell phone service to organized crime and gangs and things like that. And they got the guy because he knew that criminals were using it specifically for those assets. And chose to ignore it.
And the law I think they actually pinned him on is that in Canada, how they were able to, I guess, eventually catch them. You know how they do RICO to get mobsters? They do tax evasion. Well, in Canada, you're mandated. Any phone provider is mandated to do E911.
Yes.
They have to know where the person is within a certain... physically, roughly in a certain area. You don't have to know exactly where you are every time, all the time.
It's the same with SIP trunk and all that kind of stuff.
Right. They're mandated to provide E911 service so that you're not allowed to have an ISP in Canada that doesn't provide E911 or a phone company. So right there. You burner cell
Here in
phones
the US
still
too,
provide E911 service. So yes, they don't know who you are, but
Hey,
Ron, they don't know who you are, but they're able to send a cop or an ambulance to roughly your area.
Sure.
Right. So,
and I believe they base that on your billing information.
They do, but they are also
Your
able
cell
to
phone.
use the GPS and tower information to
Yep.
track you down. Right?
But these cell phones had no GPS. They actually removed features from the cell phones.
Right. So in that case, they'd have to do with the three tower pinging.
Yeah, that
right?
promoted organized crime. So like they got the guy because he knowingly made a product
that
targeting this specific subset of people. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, those scammers, they'll get you.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's everything from this week in tech news.
Yep. That's all I got.
I don't know if you have anything else to add or you want to discuss anything. I should
Not
stand
really.
up for a second.
I think
My
I've
legs
got
are going
everything.
numb.
I think I got everything covered of what came this week and what I had.
Okay.
I'm pretty
sure. I know that, like I said, the plan is to clean out this garage and make some space. I don't know what I'm going to do with a lot of this stuff. So some of this stuff is probably going to end up given to somebody else or, God forbid, recycled. But you can't keep everything. So, I try my best. But I'm also interested in getting back in my house because I'm going to have a mini split installed soon.
Yes.
And it's going to be summer soon. So it'll be nice not to be out here. It'd be nice not to be out here sweating on Friday nights.
Or your computer catching fire.
Well, it doesn't get that
too hot.
Yeah. Guys, I guess we're just about we got about 4 minutes left. Are there any questions in the chat? Anything anybody wants us to talk about, debate, render an opinion of some sort on? I know that you have your choice in Friday evening entertainment, and we appreciate you choosing to stay with us. It's the long weekend here in Canada for the 200 plus birthday of Queen Victoria. So if you're in Canada and you're celebrating this weekend, I ask you to celebrate responsibly. Don't drink and drive.
Absolutely.
And have all your pets spayed and neutered. I know that your Memorial Day is not until next weekend, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
And is that a statutory holiday in New York?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Will you be working at the dairy plant instead?
I will be not. Yeah, because it's on a Monday, right?
Correct.
So then no.
Oh, perfect.
I will not. Yeah, so it's not next Monday, but the following Monday.
Yeah, so will you take the day off, or will you do some small business stuff? Yeah.
Nope. I follow the same one as the banks and the government.
Perfect. Well, there's people that like to take their holidays. It's banks and governments.
That's true. Absolutely. Now, for those of you who have not seen it or got one, Javier has the 3D printed floppy emu case with the big OLED screen and the buttons and a flash SD card slot and everything on the front, so you don't have to open yours or have the little one. It matches. You could put it right in a Disc 2 case.
Perfect.
And hook it
I actually have one of my Disc 2s has actually failed. The drive itself is not funny. So I think that might be the option for my Apple II.
Exactly. Yep.
Because I have the floppy emu. Like, this is fine for the Apple the Platinum that I have, or the 2E.
But if you want something that looks
actually, that's funny. We had one of the guys in our local group purchase on eBay a 2GS this past week.
Oh, no kidding.
I won't say how much he spent on it, but I wouldn't have spent that kind of money on it. But he's very excited about it. I'm very excited for him about it. But the neat thing, or the interesting thing, is that it comes with a monochrome monitor for a 2GS. Yeah. I'm like, of all the
that kind of defeats the purpose.
The purpose, right? Like, it's like the whole point is you want color on a 2GS.
Yes, enhanced color, graphics, and sound.
But according to Joe, he said that the monochrome monitor, specifically for the 2GS, that matches the 2GS, is very rare because most people did buy the color monitor.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see. And I thought maybe we could use some of the LC monitors I had on the 2GS. Although the connector is the same, they do not function the same.
No, they don't.
So yeah, I am going to try to source him a color 2GS display.
And
So.
if you can't, those LMDs work with the 2GS. The medical monitors.
Oh yes, yeah. If I
Yeah.
can find a supply of those in Canada.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, because those actually, that's one of the reasons why I bought those LMDs. Was that I can use it for the Mac or the 2GS.
Okay, cool.
Because it's hard to find ones for the 2GS.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, guys. Well, thank you again for hanging out with us. Appreciate you being here. If you want to hit that like button, we'd appreciate the like. If you want to share us around with your friends, or you want to catch this, if you catch this in the replay, feel free to share and like and do whatever it is you need to do. We only do this once a week. We usually ramble for at least an hour, sometimes longer.
That's true.
If Trina's here.
Especially if Trina's here.
Yeah. We wish Trina all the best at her at her queer.
Hopefully she has fun.
Queer hackerspace.
Yes.
Sounds like it's going to be a good time. She's very excited about it, so we're very excited for her. Yeah, and if you need anything, you know how to find us. So thanks, guys, and hit that outro.
Have a good evening.